Hello and welcome to the Blood Reds Transfer Daily. I'm joined by my fellow Liverpool.com writer Emmet Gates, and today we're going to talk about a little bit about Matthijs de Ligt, who's been linked by Italian sources with a 60 million move to Liverpool. What do you make of this? By all accounts, we've heard that Liverpool are done with their transfer business, but it seems like de Ligt is keen on the move away from Juventus and is available. And at the end of the day, he's still a young, talented centre-back who could be on Liverpool's radar potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one because we've heard, for pretty much since Darwin Nunez deal was completed that that's it. Liverpool aren't buying any more players. But I suppose the rumour mill just continues and continues, and players are still getting linked with moves to Liverpool, even though maybe the club really aren't going to buy anyone else this summer. I mean, we saw last summer there was just the one signing in the Ibrahima Kanate. So maybe this summer, just the three signings, Darwin Nunez, Fabio Carvalho, and Calvin Ramsey. Maybe this is it, So again, it's kind of it's hard to say at this point. Like, we're only at the end of June, but I mean, De Ligt's a funny one because he obviously got a big money move to Juve 3 years ago, and many felt that this was the best place for him to learn. He was an integral part of that Ajax side that reached the Champions League semi-final in 2019, and he was going to Italy to sit under the learning tree of Giorgio Chiellini and Leonardo Bonucci. But it kind of hasn't worked out like that. He was slowly integrated into the first team. He wasn't an automatic first choice, and he only got more game time in the beginning because Chiellini suffered a career season-ending injury on like the third or fourth game of the season, and he was essentially out for the rest of the season. So De Ligt was shoehorned into the starting 11 alongside Leonardo Bonucci, but he made a lot of mistakes in those opening, I'd say, 3-4 months. This was when VAR was first being implemented, if I remember rightly, in football in general, and it seemed De Ligt was giving away handball penalties every week. He must have given away maybe 6 or 7 in the whole season because his arms were just all over the place. But he did gradually get better. Obviously, Chiellini and Bonucci were still giving tips, even though Chiellini was out injured. And Juve were kind of in a state of flux at that point. They brought Ronaldo in, and things kind of weren't working out. Maurizio Sarri was coach. But steadily, De Ligt got better and better, and he improved. And he obviously had to learn a different way of playing because he initially, a lot of his, he liked individual duels. So he would basically run out from the back line to try and aggressively take on the opposition striker. But Juve didn't play that way. So De Ligt basically had to retrain on how to basically operate as a defender. But gradually he got better and he got better. And I'd say over the last maybe 6 months, he's become more of a leader at Juve. Obviously, because a lot of the old guard has kind of moved on or been sold. So he's kind of emerged as this leader in defence. And last season, he was pretty much playing De Ligt and Bonucci, and Chiellini sometimes would maybe get the odd game or whatever. But because Chiellini was getting older, he couldn't play every game, even though he was fit. So De Ligt pretty much is an automatic first choice for Juve now, and he has improved. But again, he still gives away silly mistakes. We saw that in the Coppa Italia final against Inter, where he gave away a penalty, which pretty much cemented Inter's win. It was at that point where the game could have went either way. De Ligt gives a penalty, Inter score, and then Inter win the cup. So even though he's only 23, he has improved a lot, but there are still mistakes in his game that need ironed out. So as opposed to going to Liverpool, I mean, it's a tough one. You think, do Liverpool really need more centre backs? Van Dijk, Kanate, Joe Matip, Joe Gomez can't get a kick of a football at centre back. Like if you look at Gomez's appearances, most of them come at right back. When he was filling in for Trent. So do Liverpool really need another centre back? And saying that, obviously Van Dijk is 30, Matip 31. So I mean, those two can't last forever. But I think, considering what Juve would probably want for De Ligt, I know his contract expires in 2024, and they're trying to renew it. at the moment. De Ligt has come out with comments saying that, 2 fourth place finishes are not enough for him. He's ambitious. He wants to win trophies. And he won't settle for mediocrity, which is completely understandable. But you do think that from a Liverpool perspective, do they need to pay 60, 70 million for another defender when they could maybe put that money maybe towards trying enticing Jude Bellingham to come maybe this summer, or maybe just hold off for a year and bring Bellingham in next summer? So I don't think maybe another central defender is where Liverpool need to invest. But again, it doesn't stop the rumours suggesting that Liverpool actually want to sign De Ligt. So, I mean, it's a difficult one, but you can see that there is a talent there. Clearly, there is a talent. And I think he's still young enough where Jurgen Klopp could work with him and iron out the kinks that are still in his game, because he's far from the finished product. But you imagine like a partnership of Van Dijk and De Ligt. Although in saying that, you would think, obviously both of them being Dutch, that would be like the go-to for the Dutch national team, but it hasn't really. Like Van Dijk has played with Stefan de Vrij of Inter a lot more than De Ligt. De Ligt was actually dropped to the bench because of his form. So, you think maybe Van Dijk, like Chiellini, like Bonucci, De Ligt could go under his learning tree and, watch him and, learn. So it's a difficult one. I honestly, I can't see it happening. But then again, we could say this now and then, 6 weeks time, De Ligt could be playing for Liverpool. So, yeah, but I don't see why Liverpool should spend that amount of money on him at this point.
Yeah, it certainly feels like a risk for a player who, like you said, isn't really the finished article, hasn't quite hit the ground running at Juventus as well. So it does feel like a bit of a risk. I think I agree with you. In my opinion, I don't think this is necessarily a transfer that's going to happen, at least this summer anyway. Moving on though, another unlikely transfer probably. Adrien Rabiot has, as per the Telegraph, made it clear that not made it clear, but he has alluded to the fact that he could be open to a move to Liverpool. Apparently, that's the club he would like to join. Now, obviously, everyone has dreams. Do you think Rabiot would be a good option for Liverpool, considering they would probably like to add another midfielder in a dream scenario? Is Rabiot one that could work at Anfield?
I mean, he has certain attributes that could fit into Liverpool, but I think on the whole, I don't know if it'd be a good fit, to be honest. He would be good in the sense that he could be a vice Thiago. He could be someone who come in and give, Thiago a rest whenever he needed it, because he is good at passing, trying to control the tempo of a game. That side of it, I could see Rabiot fitting in Liverpool's midfield. And again, it would depend if the price was right. I mean, he's only 1 year left on his contract with Juve, as far as I know. So if Liverpool could keep the price down to relatively low cost, maybe, I don't know, 8 to 10 million, he could be worth a punt. But Rabiot really hasn't pulled up any trees at Juve. He's been poor more often than not. He's an odd mix of a player. He's good at controlling a game, but he's not brilliant at it in the sense that Thiago is, or someone like, say, Toni Kroos. But he can pass. He's not quick, but he's not slow. It's kind of hard to find what his best characteristics are. He doesn't really possess a goal threat, but again, it's one of those where if Liverpool could get him, pretty cheaply, he would be a good squad player to bring in for certain games where Liverpool are going to have a lot of the ball. He's good at keeping the ball ticking over. And I think his wages would be a problem because he's on, I think, around €7 million net a year at Juve. Juve obviously signed him as a free. And that's a free transfer from PSG, so they offered him big wages. And this was obviously pre-pandemic, so Liverpool would not offer anything close to what he's earning at Juve. So if he took a reduction in wages and Liverpool could kind of get him on the cheap side, he probably wouldn't be the worst option to come in for certain games. But I mean, he's not going to be a starter for Liverpool, not anywhere close. And I think this is probably the Rabiot rumours are probably less realistic even than the De Ligt rumours, which probably tells you something about where he is, on the Juve's backing order. But I mean, I could see him working in certain games for Liverpool, but again, if the price was going to be, more in the expensive category, I'd say no, look at other alternatives or just keep the midfield as is. But yeah, I don't. He has certain qualities, but I don't think in general he is a Liverpool level player. But unless maybe Jurgen Klopp sees something that I don't, and maybe thinks, yeah, I can improve him. But yeah, I think this would definitely be more of a miss than a hit.
Yeah, I think to summarize, both transfers feel unlike any Liverpool transfers we have seen in the past, and therefore unlikely to happen as well. Thanks, Emmet, for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure to check out the rest of the Blood Red content going out today and all the written content on Liverpool.com as well. Thank you.